Remember how you and Wallow were crying? You and Wallow were crying. Oh, my son got killed. Oh, you were crying. Now you talking about snitching. You goddamn right I'm a law-abiding citizen.
My shoelaces, nigga. Play with me, bro. Don't play with me, bro. Don't play with mine, bro. Don't play with mine. Just don't play with mine. Charleston White really thought he could keep clowning on T.I.'s son, King Harris, without catching real smoke. He's been running his mouth nonstop, mocking every little move King makes. It's not just hate anymore, it's straight up obsession. And now it seems like that obsession just crossed the line big time. T, I ain't sitting back this time, not when it comes to his son. When you start coming for a man's child, that's a whole different level of disrespect. And T, I is not the type to let that slide. Charleston's been throwing shade, calling King a nobody, acting like he's untouchable. But that energy, it's shifting fast. Word is, T.I. saw everything, and now the vibe feels way more serious. It's like Charleston White finally pressed the wrong button and might have bitten off more than he can chew. People close to the situation are saying Charleston White's wild rants come from pure jealousy. Family, I got willing to risk their lives and freedom to die by me and mine. You hear me? Why don't play with me, man? They claim he just can't stand watching a young King Harris pull attention, respect, and opportunities. All the things he never had. Even back in his so-called prime, Charleston was more known for trouble than talent. Now at 48, with legal problems stacking up and his online buzz drying up, it's looking like he's projecting his bitterness straight onto King's rising shine. Word around the block is Charleston might actually be scared to hop back online, like he knows deep down he crossed the line this time. He's realizing this one might be too big to talk his way out of. The mess he created is catching up to him, and the streets are watching every move.
He going to jail again. And he ain't grew up tough like his dad.
When T.I. stepped in, he didn't sugarcoat a thing. He checked Charleston's meltdown hard and made it crystal clear he's not fooled by any of it. The Atlanta legend spoke with pure disgust, saying Charleston is so hollow inside that he drags kids into his drama just to feel seen. T.I. laid it out plain, calling White a 48-year-old man with no real legacy, no solid name, and nothing left but chaos built off other people's kids. That's deep. And the jealousy? It's obvious. King Harris is just 20 and already building a real future, respected, connected, and focused. Meanwhile, Charleston's out here still chasing clout and controversy. But T, I wasn't done yet. He stripped away every bit of Charleston's fake credibility.
So why you was a bitch, boy? Man, we was about to whoop your ass when you come back down here from telling. I can see you had a soft up.
Reminding everyone this is the same man who snitched on his own crew, pepper sprayed people like a clown, and kept getting stomped out at comedy shows before crying to the cops for help. What a fall from grace. Now Charleston White is back online, crying about T.I.'s son like it's his full-time job. All because King Harris represents everything Charleston can't be. Young, confident, respected, and actually loved by his family. T.I.'s words sliced through all that fake tough talk, exposing Charleston's stunts for what they are. Desperate, bitter moves from a man trying to drag down successful black families just because his own life is in shambles. But it was T's final warning that had the internet frozen. He didn't waste a second sugarcoating anything. His words hit like a gunshot. Play with my child. That's all he said. No extra talk, no long speech, just that. And everybody instantly knew what time it was. The message was loud and clear. Charleston White had officially crossed a dangerous line, and T.I. wasn't playing anymore.
Lucy, your boy don't know how to fight. Neither do that T.I. little yellow mother, the long hair freak. That little don't know how to fight either. Get them y'all babies is rapping, baby.
Let's keep it real. Charleston's obsession with King Harris goes deeper than jealousy. It's the meltdown of a man watching his whole image collapse in front of the world. Once upon a time, he called himself a truth teller, but that wave ended back in 2023. The fame faded, the views dropped, and now he's just out here grasping for attention in all the wrong ways. His so-called legacy, it's buried under legal mess and straight-up disturbing behavior. By late 2024, his downfall hit another low when he got arrested in Tarrant County, Texas, accused of animal cruelty and aggravated assault with a deadly weapon. Reports claimed he even pepper sprayed a cat, a twisted move so bizarre it shocked even the few supporters he had left. Authorities weren't playing games this time. Charleston White got locked up and held without bond at the Lou Evans Correction Center. That move alone showed how seriously they were taking his case.
That razor yellow. Yeah, that nigga T.I. son said.
But the nightmare didn't stop there. By February 2025, he was back in cuffs again on another aggravated assault charge. It's like the man can't stay out of trouble even if he tried. Charleston tried spinning the story online, claiming his charges got dropped, but come on. The pattern speaks for itself. The man's become a walking headline for bad choices, stacking up arrests faster than he's losing followers. The same guy who built a name off controversy is now known more for mugshots than anything smart he's ever said. Every new arrest just reminds people how far he's fallen. Insiders close to T, I say the Atlanta icon is drawing a hard line now. He's ready to go to any length to keep people like Charleston far from his family. Nobody gets to threaten his kids, period. Especially not some washed-up internet loudmouth whose own life is one long crash course in wasted potential and self-destruction. And the irony? It's wild. This is the same dude who snitched on his own friends as a teenager, and now he's out here catching charges for animal cruelty and assault, yet somehow he still feels bold enough to judge King Harris. The audacity is unreal. Courtroom breakdowns, mugshots, and viral meltdowns. Charleston White's name stays trending for all the wrong reasons. Every time he jumps online trying to pass off his wild rants as commentary, it just looks sad now. The act's old, and people see right through it. His story starts dark. Born in Fort Worth, Texas, back in 1977, Charleston's life was surrounded by chaos from the jump. By just 14 years old, he was caught up in a robbery that ended with the tragic death of Michael Levy, and that landed him 7 long years in juvenile detention. During that time, he even lost his right eye in a childhood accident, growing up without a father to guide him. Just anger, loss, and pain shaping who he became. So when you look at his constant drama now, it makes sense. Controversy is all he knows. He didn't blow up online because of talent or truth. He blew up because he was willing to say the most twisted, disrespectful stuff imaginable. From taking cheap shots at legends like DMX to making vile comments about George Floyd, his rise wasn't built on inspiration. It was built on disrespect and shock value. People didn't follow him because they admired him. They followed to see what outrageous thing he'd say next. And this is where it really gets disturbing. His constant attacks on young men like King Harris show more than jealousy. They expose a deep, unresolved wound. Charleston's pain runs back to childhood trauma, growing up fatherless, feeling abandoned, and never healing from it. Now he projects that bitterness onto others, especially successful young black men from strong families, the kind of life he never got to experience. Charleston White's obsession with rappers' kids ain't random. It's straight up resentment. He can't stand seeing young men from stable homes living the kind of life he could only dream of. Every time he targets someone like King Harris, it's not about calling out the culture. It's about envy, pure and simple. Charleston never learned how to respect people, build real bonds, or find success without trying to tear somebody else down. He's even admitted before that he grew up feeling unloved, unwanted, and rejected. And now he dumps that same pain onto the next generation. The man who spent his teenage years locked in juvenile detention for a killing just can't handle watching King Harris step into adulthood with doors opening, family support, and genuine love around him. It's a reality Charleston never had, and that eats him up inside. That's why he stays fixated on young, successful men living the life he lost before it even started. His whole obsession is just the cry of a man haunted by his own mistakes. What makes this whole feud so crazy is that it didn't even begin as some planned-out beef. It was the desperate move of someone already slipping into irrelevance. By late 2022, Charleston's shock value routine was running out of gas. People were getting tired of the act. So starving for attention, he made a fatal mistake. He decided to come for T.I.'s household, not realizing he was poking a bear that bites back. Everything blew up on October 8th, 2022, when Charleston went on one of his unhinged tirades, dragging not one, but 2 rappers' sons into the mess. Boozy Badazz's son, Tootie Raw, and T.I.'s son, King Harris. That's when the whole thing exploded. Both King Harris and Tootie Raw were already caught up in some legal mess at the time, but Charleston White decided to pile on. And that move lit a fuse that's still burning today. In September 2022, King and Tootie had just been arrested, and Charleston saw it as his big moment to stir the pot. He thought he struck gold with fresh drama to feed his ego and keep his name alive online. But that moment exposed everything twisted about Charleston's mindset. Instead of stepping in with guidance, like he always claims he does as a mentor for troubled youth, he went straight for the throat. He unleashed cruel personal insults with this weird, gleeful energy, dragging King's looks, mocking his choices, and even predicting that he'd fail in life. That wasn't mentorship. That was pure spite dressed up as wisdom. And the timing? Oh, it wasn't random at all. T.I was busy juggling comedy tours, business moves, and family life. His household was already under the microscope. Charleston saw that and thought he could exploit it. He moved like a vulture, circling what he thought was a weak moment, but he completely miscalculated. King Harris wasn't just another kid Charleston White could bully, not even close. On October 9th, 2022, just one day after Charleston's rant, the then 18-year-old King hopped on Instagram Live and flipped the whole narrative. He called Charleston out straight up, labeling him exactly what he was, a snitch and a coward who feeds on the youth just to stay relevant. King didn't yell or act wild. His tone was sharp, calm, and full of confidence, showing more maturity in one live stream than Charleston's shown in his entire career. And you could tell that burned Charleston deep. Imagine being a grown man with decades of experience in humiliation, only to get publicly checked by a teenager, and in front of thousands of viewers. That moment flipped everything. The tables turned fast, and Charleston White got exposed. Not by T.I, not by another OG, but by the very young man he tried to tear down. King's clapback hit harder than anyone expected because it cracked Charleston right in his weakest spot, his ego. For once, he was facing someone who wasn't afraid of him. His fake, tough guy image fell apart instantly. And the craziest part, King didn't even need to get disrespectful. He kept it smooth and classy, calmly exposing Charleston's long history of working with law enforcement while standing tall with dignity. It was a masterclass in handling a bully. But Charleston, he couldn't take that kind of loss. The moment he got embarrassed, he spiraled bad. Instead of owning up or backing off, he doubled down with threats that crossed every line imaginable. That's when the world really saw who Charleston White was behind all that talk, and it was uglier than anyone expected. On October 10th, 2022, Charleston White took things to a whole new level, and not in a good way. He went online and issued what sounded like straight-up death threats toward King Harris. But he didn't stop there. He dragged George Zimmerman and Trayvon Martin's names into his twisted rant, turning it into a disturbing mix of violence and racism that left even some of his diehard supporters speechless. It wasn't entertainment anymore, it was terrifying. This wasn't your typical online trolling or a desperate grab for clicks. This was a grown man threatening a teenager's life while using one of America's most painful racial tragedies to make a point. By invoking Trayvon Martin's name just to attack T.I.'s son, Charleston showed the world exactly how low he was willing to go. He wasn't just beefing, he was weaponizing trauma and hate to stay relevant, and it was beyond disgusting. That moment exposed everything. His bitterness towards successful black families, his lack of morals, and his obsession with destroying what he never built himself. It proved he'd even exploit racial pain if it meant keeping his name trending. When his threats didn't scare the Harris family, Charleston switched up. Moving from violence to manipulation, he tried weaponizing the legal system, using police reports and fake narratives like tools in his personal revenge kit. On October 10th, 2022, T.I made it crystal clear. Charleston White had just made the biggest mistake of his life. That threat against King Harris woke up a side of T.I that the world hadn't seen in years. The fierce father, the protector, the man who built his empire around family and loyalty.
Man, I ain't finna say no name. I don't play police game. If I go to jail, it's gonna be for something. It's gonna be for something. I don't play no police game, man. I don't play no...
T.I had been focused on his comedy career, business ventures, and guiding his kids into adulthood. But the second Charleston crossed that line, all bets were off. T.I.'s protective instincts roared back to life like fire. He wasn't talking music or business now. This was personal. He made it known that no price was too high and no risk too great when it came to protecting his son. You could feel the difference. On one side stood a father, powered by love, discipline, and real responsibility, willing to sacrifice everything for his child's safety. T.I.'s tone carried the weight of a man with everything to lose, but still ready to risk it all for his blood. Meanwhile, Charleston White was spiraling like someone with nothing left to lose. The contrast couldn't be more obvious. One man defending family, the other drowning in bitterness and chaos. What could have been a chance to calm things down instead turned into a circus that same night when T.I and Charleston actually spoke on the phone to try and clear the air. But instead of peace, it became pure madness. That call was supposed to end the beef, but Charleston blew it completely. He couldn't even handle a grown man conversation. Later, he bragged that the call didn't go well, twisting it into more messy content for his followers like it was some victory. Instead of de-escalating, he poured gasoline on the fire. The whole boxing stunt showed just how delusional Charleston White's mindset had become. Think about it. A grown man makes threats against another man's child, then turns around and tries to flip it into a publicity stunt for clout. The audacity was wild. Instead of owning up to his words or showing even a shred of accountability, Charleston tried to turn a father's protective anger into marketing material for his dying brand. That's not strategy, that's desperation. The so-called boxing challenge only proved how far gone he really was. T, I wasn't about to turn his son's safety into some circus act for pay-per-view clicks. While Charleston was fantasizing about viral hype and fake fight posters, T, I was focused on something real. The fact that a violent, unstable man had made threats against his child. That's the difference right there. A father versus a fraud. And throughout the entire feud, Charleston kept running the same tired play, trying to drag up T.I.'s old Crime Stoppers commercial from back in 2007 after his gun case. He thought he could paint T.I. as some kind of informant and get the internet talking, but it backfired instantly. Because the whole thing was laughable coming from him. This is the same Charleston White who literally testified against his own co-defendants in a murder case, and even bragged about snitching on his own people. The hypocrisy was insane. He loves calling others out for what he's already guilty of himself. That's the Charleston White formula. Stir chaos, point fingers, and pretend he's the truth teller while hiding his own dirt. It all blew up in Charleston White's face, hard. Here was a man trying to build his whole image around being a reformed gang member, while clowning another man for encouraging community safety. The contradiction was too loud to ignore. Instead of hurting T.I.'s reputation, it made Charleston look like the biggest clown in the room. The hypocrisy was right there for everyone to see, and people couldn't stop laughing at how desperate he looked. When T.I. dropped his verse on Juicy Fruit's Step in November 2022, widely seen as a diss aimed at Charleston, it should have been the end of the whole feud. T.I. handled it like a pro, classy, controlled, and powerful. He shut Charleston down musically without needing to throw threats or talk trash. But Charleston, being who he is, completely missed the point. Instead of realizing he'd just been publicly embarrassed, Charleston actually praised the track, then had the nerve to beg to be on the remix. That move said it all. He was so thirsty for attention that even getting dissed felt like a win to him. That's the mindset of a man who doesn't care about respect, only relevance. His obsession with King Harris showed the same twisted cycle, waiting until the young man faced challenges, then swooping in to take cheap shots and later playing the victim when people clap back. It's a sad loop of negativity from someone who never learned what real respect feels like. Charleston doesn't care if people hate him. As long as they're talking, he's satisfied, and that's what makes his story so tragic. It's not a rise. It's a cautionary tale about wasted potential and a man who traded purpose for chaos. So tell me, do you think Charleston White was doomed from the start? Or could he have actually built something real if he'd chosen a different path? Drop your thoughts in the comments, hit that like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.